Ubisoft is making an open-world Star Wars game. Yes, you likely heard the pretty wild news, right? The future of Star Wars games is going to look completely different. So what does it all mean? And we're also seeing another very interesting trend happen that I want to discuss. This is the Sunday Jorgameshow, where every Sunday I look at recent gaming trends here on the channel, make predictions, and of course answer one of your questions at the end of the video. So a like would of course really help me out. And let's go. There is a January giveaway for any upcoming game. You can enter via the link in the pinned comment, and these giveaways are for subscribers of the channel only. I will reach out to the winner via the email. The exclusive EA Star Wars deal is over. It was supposed to end in 2023, and we will likely not see any Star Wars games from other publishers before that point, but we do already know that beyond that, things will be different. And that's of course for the best. Not only because in the 8 years they cancelled 3 Star Wars games that we know of, but also because they released just 4 big AAA titles, 2 of which were Battlefront games that both launched of course with many issues. I still played the first one a lot, although it only lacked a ton of content for the full price. Squadrons recently was awesome, but the highlight was of course Jedi Fallen Order. And despite the EA Star Wars deal being over, we will totally be getting Jedi Fallen Order 2. EA actually already confirmed that they will be making more Star Wars games on their Twitter, and actually in a dedicated blog post on StarWars.com, it is noted that while we may not have a lot of details to share at the moment, we've got a number of projects underway with the talented teams at EA. Maybe a new Squadrons game, because I think it was pretty successful for the budget, or something smaller, like we saw Star Wars content being added to The Sims at one point. No, but I already made the prediction that we will likely see Jedi Fallen Order 2 this year, and now that it seems that EA is getting pushed to the side by Disney, I think it's even more likely that we at least get a tease this year, so that EA can show to people, especially investors, that they're still riding the Star Wars bandwagon. Like, the EA stock dropped big time after the news, although it already recovered. And by the way, Jedi Fallen Order got a new update this week for next-gen consoles, adding 60 frames per second, so it's really the perfect time to replay it, or if you skipped it the first time around, actually playing it when you have a next-gen console available will be really great. We see some footage here from Digital Foundry and it looks awesome, so again, I still think the sequel will be announced this year. We did already get an Indiana Jones game announcement from Machine Games, the Wolfenstein developers, and this also part of Lucasfilm Games. We only see this small teaser right now, and that's simply because this game is still far away. It will be some time before we have more to reveal, but we are very excited to share today's news. And that's what all these announcements kind of have in common right now. It will be a very long time before we actually see something. Right now we are in the beginning of our new journey, so we're still working out many of the details. But what we can tell you is that this will be a story-driven open world game. Julian, the creative director on that Ubisoft Star Wars title, said in a blog post. So why announce it so early? Well, that is to recruit people. Like, this is what Julian also tweeted out. And now that people know, hey, this massive studio is working on a Star Wars game, I might want to go there. Well, otherwise you might be like, Division is not really my cup of tea. Because that's of course the thing, Julian was first the creative director on The Division 2, so likely his whole team will now step away from making a more live service focused game to do more something like Assassin's Creed. Maybe there will still be co-op, but at least it will not be a big online focused title, because they really say story focused instead. What we also know is that this game will be on their own Snowdrop engine, and if you played The Division 2, then you know that this team is really good at making incredible looking locations. So imagine that in the Star Wars universe and on next-gen consoles. Although again, it will be a while before we see anything. Like, we will first see their Avatar game, because while a team was working on The Division 2, a different team was working on a title based on that James Cameron universe. And this will be a more online focused game. Like, one of the job listings on Massive's website is for an online infrastructure engineer. Your role will be to design, implement and operate a global scale game server infrastructure for highly anticipated AAA online games and they mentioned that you will be working on The Division 2 and the Avatar project. Like, sure, it is a massive studio, no pun intended, with a lot of people working there, but they currently already have 2 major projects in the works, both Disney properties, by the way, so I totally think that we won't be seeing a new Division game for a very long time. And that might actually be a good thing. Like, sure, as a fan this will suck, but The Division 2 just wasn't as big of a hit as Ubisoft had hoped, and the excitement for the series kinda dropped after the first game. So maybe if they give the series some rest and then come back after like 6 years with a new title, maybe then it will be back to like former glory. I'm also really curious about that Avatar game, by the way. It should launch around the second movie, so at the end of 2022, maybe we'll already see it this year, although I think they will save it for next year. So yeah, we totally get that Avatar game before this open world Star Wars project. And is Ubisoft going to do more Star Wars games? Because they note that this announcement is the beginning of a long-term collaboration with Disney and Lucasfilm Games. I got reached out by All Father Memes with no meme, but a brilliant idea instead. What if the For Honor team made a Star Wars lightsaber duel game? Like, that would be perfect, because will Ubisoft do a For Honor 2? They still launched a new hero for the original last month, so they're still supporting that. So obviously there's still a player base there, but will a For Honor 2 work? Because that is kind of the big trend that we are seeing. When massive studios struggle to find commercial success with their own IP, they go and then take on a licensed game, and then they do find success. And Insomniac is of course the biggest example of this in recent memory. Sunset Overdrive did not set the world on fire. Sure, Ratchet & Clank did pretty well on PS4, but Insomniac is really being looked at as one of the best studios in the industry, but it never really reached that mass market appeal until they made Spider-Man games, and now they're really on top. Wolfenstein 2 was really good, but the sales on PC and other platforms were below expectations. But now that their game is an Indiana Jones game, it will likely sell more because it has a brand associated with it. Again, Division 2 did not do too well, so now that team is making a Star Wars game. And Hitman is also not known for like huge sales, while the games are really great. I'm really looking forward to Hitman 3 myself, by the way, but it won't likely sell that well, so that's why a new 007 game for IO Interactive makes way more sense. And funny, by the way, the day that this Star Wars Ubisoft game was announced, I said in a private chat, what if the Division team made a Mandalorian game? And then a few hours later this news dropped. And the Mandalorian is of course basically already a game. You go after targets, other objectives, and then you come back to upgrade your character, like get better gear. It's basically already the Division, so I would not be surprised if this will be an open world, third-person game where we play a bounty hunter. And I'm all for it, like that would be awesome. And about that trend where now a lot of talented studios are working on movie IP, I just hope that we don't hit a point where every AAA game that releases is based on a familiar licensed franchise, and that we still get big new IP in the AAA space. On the other hand, like with the rising development cost, the amount of time it takes to make a game, basing it on a franchise that people will buy into reduces the risk. Although you're not like, it's not like a safe bet or anything, because then Marvel's Avengers would have been a huge success, and sadly that was not the case. So let me know your take on this trend and what you want to see in that Ubisoft Star Wars game. And you can of course also leave a question that I might answer in the next Sunday video. And now I got a question from Lucky saying if I think the next Spider-Man sequel will also come to PS4, and the short answer is no. Like, this game will take some time. I think 2022 at the earliest. A lot of Spider-Man movies will come out around that time as well, so that would make a lot of sense, but I really think that this will be a PS5 exclusive, because at one point Sony has to like push people to that platform, and having an exclusive Spider-Man game of course really helps with that. But I do think though that if you cannot afford a next-gen console, or cannot find a next-gen console for the next year or even in 2022, that you will still have big games to play, and that is because of the amount of delays that we will see in 2021. The big one, of course, this week was Hogwarts Legacy. That this game is now sadly coming out in 2022, and it should also launch on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So where normally we really see this move to next-gen only games in like the second year after the new consoles come out. I think right now, because many games from 2021 get delayed to 2022 because of COVID, working from home, way harder to make games right now, that we will still see a ton of last gen games in 2022. So that's sort of a trend we are seeing as well. I just hope that 2021 will not be bare bones because of that, but that's kind of the reality. Fingers crossed that Horizon will still come out, but it has to, right? 4 years after the original. I don't want the game to be delayed. But we will see. Of course, subscribe for way more Sunday videos. Every week here, we look at gaming trends. A like on the video would really help me out. And check out my previous video on the big games that I think will be announced in 2021 by clicking on the screen. For now, though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.